Joined by Fox NFL analyst Michael Vick.
Good morning.
Welcome, Michael. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
First, Skip. What is wrong with the Steelers?
You know, the Jacksonville Jaguars might just be that good to start with because, remember, they went to Houston on opening day, albeit against Tom Savage, but they did a 29-7 number on the Texans at Houston.
10 sacks to start the season.
Whew. And then they do 44-7 number on Baltimore in London, and now a 30-9 number. Is that it? Yeah, 30-9 at Pittsburgh. That's pretty impressive, right?
That's very impressive.
Now, this is my gut feeling from a distance. And Michael Vick has been through big controversies before where you're the leader of a team and it gets split by, in your case, the Riley Cooper episode. I believe that the Steelers were the most split of all the teams that faced how to deal with the protest post-President Trump shot of SOBs.
Yes.
And they went back and forth the day before, and everybody wanted to do something different. I'm reading stories that say a majority of the players wanted to go out and kneel. I get that. That's what most teams wanted to do. And yet, Ben Roethlisberger wanted to stay in the tunnel. And I guess everybody sort of acquiesced and said, okay, let's stay in the tunnel, except for Alejandro Villanueva, who was the one combat veteran. And he said, well, I'm going to step outside the tunnel.
Yeah.
And that upset some of the players because we're not all unified.
Right.
And then I couldn't believe that Mike Tomlin and his coaching staff didn't stay in the tunnel. They all went out and stood for the anthem.
Right.
Wow. So you got people going
All
three different
over.
directions.
It's so divisive.
Yeah. And you lose to a not very good Bears team in overtime 23-17. Now you bounce back and you go to Baltimore and win, but Baltimore was reeling off its 44-7 devastation. Mm-hmm. And then that thing happened yesterday. And there was another report about Antonio Brown was so upset with Ben because he thought maybe Ben didn't look his way on the wide open touchdown route because they're still at odds about how they were going to protest the anthem. Mm-hmm. And so Antonio took it a little more personally, and he goes and throws the Gatorade cooler on the field. So now you're in shambles psychologically, and yet it looked like Ben was trying to sort of bend over backward to get Antonio back in the mix yesterday. He throws him 19 balls. 19 balls?
10 catches.
Wow, 19 balls, and he throws 55 passes. And it was still a pretty close game midway through the third quarter, and they only run it 20 times. So Le'Veon can't be real happy with 20 rushes, and it's just a disaster. And then he throws back-to-back pick sixes, and it all just goes up in smoke. Do I think they're dead and buried for the year? No, because they're 3-2 in a division with Baltimore reeling. Cincinnati's trying to get back on track, and Cleveland's Cleveland. Yeah. So, but again, you've been through this before, so somebody, either Mike Tomlin or somebody had to take control of a locker room that is still very divided.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, there are answers to this problem, and it's up to the veterans and the leaders in that locker room to figure this out before this steamrolls throughout the entire season. And you see the divisiveness that is created amongst players. Villanueva, he's one guy, he stands for a lot. I have a ton of respect for him. I can understand Ben's point of view, Mike Tomlin's point of view. And you have all these different opinions, and it just makes for a team to not be able to function and focus. And that's the result of, what we're dealing with here. It has to be fixed by the veterans. Where's James Harrison? He has to step up. I think Ben will get it together.
You know that locker room, too.
I know that locker room extremely well.
Is James, would you qualify him as a leader in the locker room?
Yes, he is. Okay. He's one of the biggest leaders in the locker room. And Antonio Brown. I mean, he has a lot of younger guys, that looks up to him now. Yeah. It's time for you to, take that step in being a leader, a role model. It's important as a professional as you continue to grow older.
The thing is, Skip, this is what we call the last couple of weeks. This is a classic case of a Chinese fire drill, when a lot of people go in a different direction. Now, you got the coaches standing on the sideline for the anthem. You got Villanueva at the top of the tunnel. You got the other players in the tunnel. Antonio Brown wanted to remain in the locker room. So you got a lot of different people wanting to do a lot of different things. So now we got conflict here. Now, I don't know how much truth it is to, maybe this is what's going on with Big Ben and Antonio. But let me tell you what Antonio Brown's situation did. All it did was provide cover for how poorly Ben Roethlisberger has been playing this year, because he's been playing absolutely terrible. Yeah. And him acting the way he did on the sideline, him throwing the cooler, this anthem thing on how we're going to go about this has provided cover for Ben. Now, Ben, when he said, maybe I don't have it anymore, I think he's just like, he's being glib. He wants
Maybe.
y'all to stop asking all these questions.
But is it possible he kind of checked out mentally when he talked about
But
retiring?
Well,
Probably
at
not.
some point in time, Skip, you can't keep saying, I don't know how much longer I got.
No.
I don't know how much longer I got. I'm thinking about retiring. And when you look at it like, they lost to a team. Blake Bortles was 8 of 14 for 95 yards and a pick. The only reason the Jacksonville won this game was because Ben threw 5 picks with 2 pick sixes.
Yep.
The last time that was done in 2012, you know who did it, Skip? Your guy, Tony Romo. As a matter of fact, the last guy to do it twice was Tony Romo.
That's a gratuitous shot.
I'm just saying, Skip. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
2007.
That's apropos of nothing.
Scale.
Are you saying Tony Romo is Blake
dug deep for
Bortles?
that.
All I'm saying is, in 2007, in 2012, Tony Romo had a game to what Ben Roethlisberger had yesterday. 5 picks, 2 pick sixes. I'm just putting that out there.
Off of Tony Romo and just back on Ben, you can't have one foot in and 1 foot out. And I think that's where Ben stands right now. I know where his heart is. He loves the game. We know he's passionate about the game of football, but he's growing older. You know, he's 35 years
And
old.
he's taking a lot of punishment.
He's taking the beating, and he's taking the onus of guiding this team for the last 12, 13 years.
Tell me the great quarterback that you've heard that could. I've only known one, Brett Favre. That seemed like every year he's talking about retirement. You don't hear Aaron Rodgers. You don't hear Tom Brady 40, and he don't even say a word with an R in it.
He does the opposite of that.
Right.
Yeah.
He's I'm playing forever. You hear Drew Brees. Drew Brees said, I can play the 43, 44, 45, all these quarterbacks. Harris being 35, and it seems like every year, I don't know how, it's open, man. I don't know how much longer I got, Mike, man.
Yeah.
Woo,
But
time winding down.
Maybe it's a situation where sometimes internally you can see, look, this team is maybe 2 years away. Young guys have to develop, and that can be a difference maker as well. So
And you're saying you don't have 2 years left?
yeah, you're saying, like, I'm giving it all my everything. Last year we came up short. We put all the effort into it. It didn't work out. Do I see in the near future an opportunity to win a championship or even get close? If not, maybe I just walk away. I already got 2 rings.
Really, I mean, there are teams that compete, but realistically, there's really only one team that we think of every year realistically has a chance of getting to and winning the Super Bowl. That's the Patriots. Everybody else, we hope, well, if this goes well, the Patriots are the only team because their pedigree. In 17 years, Tom Brady has gone to 7 Super Bowls and won 5. Outside of that, when's the last time?
Okay, but in the AFC, the 1A team is the Pittsburgh Steelers, right?
Yeah.
Don't we always give them a shot?
last 5 years?
Nobody gives them a realistic shot because why? Defensively, they seem to have no answer for what Tom does offensively. And they fall behind so quick because it goes Tom, boom, 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 boom. Next thing you know, it's 14-0, 17-3, and then all of a sudden it takes Le'Veon out of the game because he can't run it.
Right.
You got to throw it to him. And Coach Belichick, this 19 attempts, Coach Belichick is not letting Antonio Brown beat him. So you can give him 25 attempts, but he's not going to let that guy. Coach Belichick normally, now Kareem Hunt was an anomaly. Coach Belichick had no idea who he was. But if they were to play again, Kareem Hunt is not going to beat Coach Belichick.
Yeah. Right. One other thing on Ben. When he had his ill-fated motorcycle crash, not wearing a helmet and went all the way over and onto the hood, as I recall,
Yes.
I said, you just took 2 years off your playing career.
Correct.
Because he takes a lot of punishment to start with because he's a big, strong guy and he just stands in there and gets rocked.
Tough.
Correct.
But do you remember how bad that was?
Yes.
It was. He nearly died from
Yes.
it, and he had all kinds of internal injuries. You don't think those are cumulative now?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you're in a car wreck every single week.
Yeah.
So imagine literally being in another car wreck traveling. I don't care if he was only going 10 miles an hour. You're going 10, the car going.
Well, no, it's worse. It's a motorcycle wreck.
absolutely.
Motorcycle
There's
hit
no
a
car to
car.
protect you.
Right, and you go, you're flying through the air, hitting the windshield, the hood of the
no
car with no helmet. You Skip, they call it asphalt. When you hit it, it's your ass, it's your fault. I don't fool with it.
That is
I
correct.
do think Ben will be able to get it turned around at some point,
better.
but it has to start next week, and the offense has to find more explosive plays and have to find a way to get Le'Veon Bell going. If not, it will be a long season because it'll be all on the defense.
Yep.
That's what they don't need.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few segments from the newest show on FS1, First Things First, with Chris Carter and Nick Wright.